Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another week of The Impact. The week of recording that is slotted between a barrage of games, Random Minion Caster, is we don't slow down here at the amateur scene.
Nope. So tonight we are recording on the 15th of September here. This is literally the end of round 2. And tomorrow we're right into round 3. So there's a lot to cover. A total of 27 games over 12 series in the last 7 days here, Dia.
Oh my god, I am exhausted. Just straight up exhausted by the amount of games that we have watched, consumed, analyzed, and honestly, props to everybody who has been playing in them, watching all of them, broadcasting them, because it is so ridiculously hard to keep up with everything that is going on, but it is well worth it. I did say that we don't take breaks, and RMC, we don't. But it is important that right now we take a moment to acknowledge the fallen.
With that moment of silence done here, let's start moving into the bracket here, Dia, because at the end of round 2, it's not just round 2. We had the latter half of round 1, or the first round of eliminations, for a total of 8 teams taken out. We're left with only half the teams here, Dia. So let's start with the first set of eliminations here. The lower bracket, Supernova versus AOE. Immortals Academy versus Zeus, TSM Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy, and 100 Thieves Next versus C9 Academy. What surprised you down here, Dia?
I think that the straight up answer to that has to be first and foremost Zeus getting taken out. I know it's against an academy team, but man oh man, coming into this entire tournament, I thought that Zeus along with Wildcard were going to make it at the end, and their journey stopped really literally as quickly as it could have gone. On the other side of this, I was impressed by the way that Cloud9 Academy piled themselves against 100 Thieves Next, but I wouldn't really call the result a surprise.
True. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair there. And Zeus are the darling of the amateur scene, so having them knocked out so early on definitely does hurt. More interestingly here, Dia, is what happened in the second round here of eliminations. By the time we were done with that, not only was Zeus out, but realistically, we're only left with 2 amateur teams after the second round of eliminations, one in the upper bracket and one in the lower bracket. And I know that you mentioned Resolve in the lower bracket has surprised you time and time and time again. Dia, do you feel like their win in the second round is a surprise? And going to the third round, do you think that they actually might still move on?
Ooh, that is tough. That is tough because I asked you last week, should I give up hope? And you know what? I feel like the way that they played didn't seem uncharacteristic of Resolve, and for that reason, I don't want to say that their game against AOE came as entirely a surprise. Resolve has always been really good, and AOE has always been really swingy. I would say that both teams are, and the fact that the dice rolled in the way that they did, that Resolve was having a good day and AOE Sports was having a good day, but not a great day, made it so that Resolve winning was sort of the natural conclusion of that. I am really curious, however, what their match against Immortals Academy will look like, especially after they managed to take EG Academy out of the running entirely, because that was a big surprise.
Definitely. Actually, Dia, that was my match of this week because that match, I think, was one of the closest in terms of skill matchups. Only 3 out of those 12 matches actually went the full distance, and this is one of the 3. So definitely looking forward to it, whether the Academy Killers can continue their streak.
You know what? I think that's a really interesting point as well, because the Academy Killers vibe has yet to be matched by another amateur team, but it very well could be. And for that, I'll direct you to my match to watch from this past week, Wildcard Red versus Resolve. The last time that we see all these two guys face off against each other, Wildcard Red won this in pretty convincing fashion. And the fact that Resolve has slain Academy teams gives me a lot of hope for Wildcard as well, because interestingly enough, due to the bracket, they have yet to actually face one.
Like you pointed out there, Dia, Wildcard Red might be the real deal here. I mean, I predicted a top 4 finish is my hot take, and right now they are on track to do that. But back down in the losers bracket, Dia, C9 Civil War. That was the last match of round 2. In fact, we just watched it before the recording tonight here. And that one, didn't look quite as close.
There were moments of hope for Cloud9 Amateur, but you and I talked about this before and during the game as well, that of all of the games that we could have watched this tournament, that was the one whose result was definitely decided. Because in a world where Cloud9 Academy falls to Cloud9 Amateur, someone isn't doing their jobs, and so it sort of felt like that conclusion was written way before the match even started.
Yeah, and that's what happens, I guess, when it's an inter-org competition, right? And Dia, I'm sorry to do this to you. I swear it'll be this is the low point for you here. You said it hurt to watch C9 Amateur go down, but there's another team that you predicted, which unfortunately didn't make it. The last match in the losers bracket here, FlyQuest Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy.
Not like this. That was so sad to see, especially because FlyQuest did end up taking a game, and so I thought that they were going to be able to turn things around, and well, unfortunately for them, they were unable to. I can't lie and tell you that Golden Guardians didn't deserve it. By God, they did. They played their hearts out, but it does hurt to see my tournament favorite eliminated with still a lot of the tournament left to go. They didn't even make it close this time, but it is odd considering that they were coming out of the regular season in Academy, first seed, and ended up finishing within the top 4.
True, and to Golden Guardians Academy, no less. I mean, they were 8th place in the regular season for the Academy, and I think it does say something about the fact that Golden Guardians Academy and Dignitas Academy, who struggled in the regular season, came down, qualified through UGP, and they look like brand new teams. I think the trial by fire with the amateur teams have certainly helped them. That does leave us with the final 8 teams. And in the upper bracket here, we have Team Liquid Academy facing off against Dignitas Academy, 100 Thieves Academy facing off against the only remaining amateur team in the top half, which is Wildcard Gaming Red. And in the lower bracket, the only amateur team left in the lower bracket here, Resolve versus Immortals Academy, while Golden Guardians Academy face off against C9 Academy.
I'm very excited, and I want to hear what match we should watch going into this coming week. But before we do that just yet, I know that you've got some clips from the jungle to bring us of these past highlights.
This one comes from Supernova versus AOE Esports here. Let's bring up the clip. So, Dia, if you take a look here, it's not showing immediately on screen what's happening. Now it's showing. There's an Akali. There's a TP.
Oh no!
We've seen this song and dance before.
Yeah, these are always so fun to watch, and it is working as intended, guys. It's not a bug, but man, oh man, does it look crazy! Nice pickup on the kill as well. What should have been an academic play for AOE definitely went a little bit south there, but they got what they came for.
Yeah, they did kind of win the initial fight. Cozy does come in and gets at least some, payback on the backside. But yeah, this was the play that drove Ravishing Ravish and Rebel Fox insane when it happened. But I'm starting to tell them, like I said, this is not the first time it's happened in Proving Grounds. Loyal followers of the Impact might remember this from a previous episode. And in fact, Dia, do you remember which teams were involved in the last time Akali ran across the rift?
No, I don't.
It was AOE Esports. The same
really?
team we just saw it this time against 100 Thieves in the EGL round 1. It was game 3, and the last time it was Faisal on Akali who ran across the map to slightly less effective results. But say what you want about AOE. I am very sad that they got knocked out because while they might not be the cleanest team, they certainly bring us some of the funniest moments.
Just churn out highlights like nobody's business. Now, I'm a sentimental guy. I cannot deny it. And for this week, I've got a little bit of a sentimental MVP to show you. Let's take a look at the clip, and I'm sure you'll see who it is. So this was the game-deciding fight, and Johnson does super well here. But you see how there's all of a sudden a really big problem? Let's take a look at who saves him. Boom, boom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, double kill is big. It looks like it's Nixie, but I took a look at that fight a lot to understand exactly how FlyQuest won it. And the thing is that in this one game that they ended up winning, off of this one fight, yes, everybody comes together, but in the moment that it is critical to, the damage gets done by Triple, who honestly played out of his mind on LeBlanc this game. There were a lot of highlights for a lot of players, and FlyQuest earned this win together, but Nixie stood out to me time and time again. It was one of the crazier plays of the day, and I really enjoyed myself. The other thing that I do love about Amateur, though, is that I get to continue enjoying myself, and I want you, RMC, I want you to tell me which series I can tune into this coming week to enjoy myself the most.
Well, yeah, this week is not going to feature quite as many matches as we had in the past week, but certainly the stakes keep mounting, and I want to draw our attention once again to the upper bracket here. You touched on it earlier when we were talking about the brackets here. The Wildcard Gaming Red has not faced a single Academy team yet, but this week, that changes. They are running up against 100 Thieves Academy, and that is my game to watch whether or not Wildcard Gaming Red truly does deserve to be in that upper bracket.
100%. This is going to be a very telling game. And again, it's mostly a test for Wildcard. I know that we're all coming into this going, yes, 100 Thieves, you're good. Let's see what you've got. But Wildcard has been such an unknown quantity this tournament that I can't help but be excited for it as well. I have to say, my eyes are drawn elsewhere, though, because I have been fooled now twice by Resolve, and I may be fooled a third time. I will not be caught underestimating them again. I'm not going to make a prediction. All I'm going to say is watch Resolve versus IMT Academy, because whatever the outcome, it is going to be a match to remember.
Almost a coincidence, Dia, that we're focusing on the two amateur teams left in the tournament, but I really do think that the stakes in these games are higher. And again, right? Resolve, Academy Killers, can they live up to the name? Wildcard Gaming Red, the three-peat champions here, can they live up to their reputation? That's what I want to watch this week.
It's almost as if we're amateur casters and really invested in the amateur storyline. That's so crazy, actually. Wow, what a guy. I think it's so funny because it is a total coincidence. I didn't mean to, but at
Actually.
the same time, that's just how it's turned out. And hey, this is the content we're providing, is coverage of all of your amateur needs. As we are going to be getting into the later stages of the tournament, we are going to be coming back with yet another episode of the Impact to break down what happens in the upcoming 4 matches, and I look forward to seeing you all there. RMC, what should they do between episodes?
Well, between the episodes, you can go back and watch our other episodes. And if you can't find those, why don't you try commenting, and subscribing? And maybe the links will start showing up in your YouTube feed.
Yeah, that way you get the notifications. You get to know every time another episode of the Impact releases, and we'll be sure to let you know everywhere else as well. Follow us on Twitter at AOE Esports just to make sure that you get every last detail. We'll see you in a few. That's been all for this episode of the Impact.